The NFL just got rocked. Will Anderson Jr.'s record-breaking $150 million contract didn't just reset the market. It lit a fire across the entire league. Now, top players are reportedly pushing back, demanding massive pay raises of their own, and owners are said to be furious as negotiations start spiraling out of control. So what really happened, and how did one deal trigger a full-blown salary revolt across the NFL? Let's break it all down. On April 17, 2026, Adam Schefter reported that Will Anderson Jr. was signing a 3-year, $150 million extension with the Houston Texans, a deal that includes $134 million in guaranteed money. That's $50 million per year for a defensive end, not a quarterback, not a wide receiver with a shoe deal and a reality show, a pass rusher. Anderson's deal instantly made him the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. The deal also reportedly includes a no-trade clause, which means Anderson isn't just getting the money, he's getting the power to decide where he plays. To put this in context, the man whose record Anderson just broke, Micah Parsons, signed a 4-year, $188 million extension with the Green Bay Packers after being traded from Dallas last summer. That deal included $136 million in total guarantees and paid Parsons $46.5 million per year. Parsons held that record for roughly 8 months before Anderson tore it to shreds. And here's the thing about Anderson's deal that makes it different from the typical record-breaking extension we see every offseason. Anderson was already under contract with the Texans through 2027 after the club picked up his 5th-year option. He still had 2 years of team control left. The Texans didn't have to do this. Nobody was forcing their hand. Anderson wasn't a free agent. He wasn't threatening to walk out the door. Houston looked at what was happening around the league. Players demanding new deals, market resets happening every few weeks, holdouts and hold-ins and trade demands, and decided they'd rather overpay now than get dragged into the mess later. Anderson earned this leverage the old-fashioned way. He wrecked opposing offenses. In the 2025 season, he totaled 54 tackles, 12 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles. He finished near the top of the league in pressures and pass rush win rate. His career numbers through just 3 seasons are staggering. 30 sacks, 64 quarterback hits, 136 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries in 46 games. He was named the 2023 Defensive Rookie of the Year and has earned a pair of Pro Bowl selections along with a runner-up finish for the 2025 Defensive Player of the Year. He's 24 years old. He was selected by Houston with the 3rd overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, 1 pick behind Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud. So the Texans looked at a 24-year-old generational edge rusher, a player who had already proven he could elevate his performance in the playoffs, and decided to make him the richest non-quarterback in the history of football. The ripple effect of this decision is going to be felt across all 32 front offices for years. Anderson's record-breaking deal didn't happen in isolation. It happened in the aftermath of one of the most contentious and financially chaotic offseasons in NFL history, an offseason where the balance of power between players and owners shifted in dramatic and unprecedented fashion. The 2025 season was defined by holdouts. Not just 1 or 2 isolated incidents, it was a systemic wave of star players refusing to play under contracts they deemed outdated. The most explosive saga belonged to Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. Team owner Jerry Jones opened training camp with a wild, meandering media conference that took shots at Parsons' health. And Parsons responded by making his discontent impossible to ignore. Jones hit the talking head circuit, bemoaning the role of agents and threatening to use the franchise tag for multiple seasons. As for Parsons, he parked himself on the athletic trainer's table during a preseason game, a move that reportedly did not sit well with head coach Brian Schottenheimer. Dallas never extended Parsons. They traded him to Green Bay instead. Parsons wasn't alone. The Cincinnati Bengals found themselves embroiled in simultaneous disputes with 2 franchise cornerstones. First came the fight to extend Jamar Chase, who had become the first wide receiver to eclipse $40 million annually when he signed a 4-year, $161 million rookie extension. Then the Bengals had to deal with Trey Hendrickson, the NFL's reigning sack king, who spoke to ESPN and said that while he and the Bengals were close on annual salary and contract length, the team's unwillingness to give him more than 1 year of guaranteed money remained the sticking point. The Bengals had already adjusted their guarantee structures twice that offseason, once for Chase, once for first-round pick Shamar Stewart, and they really didn't want to do it again. Hendrickson eventually left Cincinnati, signing a massive 4-year, $112 million deal with $60 million fully guaranteed with the Baltimore Ravens. The holdout epidemic went beyond just Parsons and Hendrickson. Brandon Ayuk's dispute with the San Francisco 49ers dragged on for months. The 49ers owner Jed York and head coach Kyle Shanahan gave the impression they were willing to retain the disgruntled wideout, who had little to no communication with the team during his recovery from a torn ACL and MCL. The financial penalties for these standoffs were severe. Players are fined $50,000 for each day they hold out. And under the current CBA, only players on rookie contracts can get those fines waived. Yet players kept doing it. The fines weren't enough to stop them. The potential payday dwarfed any daily penalty. What these players understood and what forced the owner's hand was something fundamental about how the NFL works. As former NFL general manager Bill Polian described holdouts, it's a toothache. It's there all the time. The discomfort never goes away for either side. But for the first time, the discomfort was almost entirely on the owner's side. Players had learned from watching predecessors like Le'Veon Bell, who refused to sign a franchise tag of $14.5 million in 2018 and sat out the entire season, a decision Bell later said he regrets. The current generation of stars studied those mistakes and adopted smarter strategies, showing up to avoid fines but refusing to practice, using social media and agents to apply public pressure, and forcing trades when teams wouldn't pay. The players' revolt found its fuel in one specific accelerant: money. The NFL has never had more of it, and the numbers are almost hard to believe. The 2026 salary cap was set at $301.2 million per club, an increase of $22 million from 2025's $279.02 million up. This marks the first time the league's cap has surpassed $300 million, and the growth has been breathtaking. Just 4 years ago, the cap eclipsed the $200 million threshold in 2022. The cap has increased 40% in just 5 years, since it dropped coming off the pandemic-altered 2020 season. Total projected player costs, including benefits, are now $378.8 million per club. With all that money sloshing through the system, teams did what teams do. They spent, and they spent like never before. In the opening week of free agency, NFL teams reportedly spent a record $5.83 billion in contracts, including $2.59 billion in guarantees. The deals were massive across every position. Jalen Phillips signed a $120 million deal with the Panthers, the richest free agent contract in total value. Trey Hendrickson got his 4-year, $112 million deal with Baltimore. Odafe Ove landed $100 million from the Commanders. Markets were reset at positions that don't normally generate headlines. Tyler Linderbaum, a center, signed a 3-year, $81 million contract with the Las Vegas Raiders, averaging $27 million per year. That reset the center market by a whopping 50%. The previous standard was the 4-year, $72 million extension Creed Humphrey got from the Kansas City Chiefs. Linderbaum's $27 million per year makes him the first player at his position to earn more than $18 million in average annual salary. Cornerbacks got paid like quarterbacks used to. Trent McDuffie, acquired by the Rams from the Chiefs, landed a 4-year, $124 million contract extension, with $100 million in guarantees, becoming the NFL's highest-paid cornerback at $31 million per year. Wide receivers continued their own arms race. Alec Pierce, who had never caught 50 passes, scored 8 touchdowns or hit 1,100 yards in his 4-year career, received a 4-year, $114 million deal from the Colts. The spending was contagious, infectious, almost reckless, and every dollar spent raised the floor for the next negotiation. This is the core of what made the salary revolt so effective. Each new deal didn't just pay one player. It created a new benchmark that every comparable player at that position could point to. When Phillips got $30 million a year, every edge rusher's agent took note. When Linderbaum got $27 million a year at center, every offensive lineman in the league suddenly had new ammunition. Here's where the bombshell enters the picture. Because while players were demanding and receiving record-breaking paydays, the owners were waging their own war. A quieter, more methodical campaign fought with restructured contracts, surprise releases, dead money, and fundamental questions about the league's entire financial structure. The clearest sign that owners were alarmed came at the league meetings, where NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said owners had a lengthy discussion about the salary cap system, how well it's working, whether teams are operating within its intended spirit, and what changes might be needed in the next round of collective bargaining with the players' union. In other words, the people who control the league were openly admitting that the system they designed might be broken. The concern is specific. Cash-rich owners are gaming the cap. As analyst Brett Coleman translated, the league is likely concerned that cash-rich owners use void years and rolling option bonuses to continuously push contracts higher and higher in terms of cash flow, but lower in terms of cap hits. This means owners with deeper pockets can spend far beyond what the cap was intended to allow. By spreading costs over phantom contract years the player will never actually play. The result is a devastating phenomenon called dead money. The Miami Dolphins carry the league's highest dead cap hit in 2026 at a staggering $179.2 million. The New Orleans Saints carry $112.1 million in dead cap, thanks to the contracts of Derek Carr, Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Jordan, and Demario Davis. The Jets are at $111.2 million, and the Browns at $91.6 million. Dead money represents cap space consumed by players who are no longer even on the roster, a financial ghost haunting teams for decisions they made years ago. The disparity between the haves and have-nots has never been more extreme. The Dallas Cowboys are in the worst cap shape in the league at negative $56.1 million in cap space, while the Tennessee Titans lead with $94.8 million in cap space. The Chicago Bears have the least amount of cap space in the NFL at a mere $243,070, $250,000 to fill an entire roster. Some teams can compete in free agency. Others are effectively locked out. This is the owner's bombshell. The players forced the money upward, and now the system that was designed to ensure competitive balance is creaking under the pressure. Teams that paid premium prices for stars are now slashing rosters to survive. The Dolphins released Tyreek Hill and are anticipated to let go of edge rusher Bradley Chubb. The Cowboys traded Micah Parsons rather than extend him. Dexter Lawrence II expressed his displeasure with a trade request from the Giants. The Colts and Anthony Richardson mutually agreed to part ways. Veteran players across the league were either dissatisfied with their current role or contract, and teams were increasingly willing to cut bait rather than negotiate. The owner's response has two prongs. First, pay the truly elite and cut everyone else. Second, push for structural changes to the CBA that would limit how aggressively contracts can be manipulated. The primary purpose of salary caps is keeping player costs restricted to 48% of revenue while teams retain 52%, and owners are determined to protect that split even if individual player salaries keep exploding. So where does all of this leave the NFL? On one side, you have the players. Will Anderson is making $50 million a year. Micah Parsons is making $46.5 million. Jamar Chase broke $40 million annually. Trent McDuffie is making $31 million. A center, Tyler Linderbaum, is making $27 million a year. The player empowerment movement that swept through the NBA over the past decade has officially arrived in the NFL, and it is not leaving. Players understand their leverage better than any previous generation. They watched the cautionary tale of Le'Veon Bell and learned the right lessons. They watched Earl Thomas, who memorably said, "Pay me or trade me," and then broke his leg in week 4, flashing a one-finger salute at Pete Carroll while being carted off. They learned to hold in instead of hold out, showing up to avoid fines but refusing to participate. A CBA loophole where the player avoids daily fines and simply refuses to work. On the other side, you have the owners. They're paying the bills, and they're paying attention. Commissioner Goodell's comments at the league meetings were not idle chatter. When 32 billionaires sit down to discuss whether the salary system is working within its intended spirit, that is a signal that fundamental changes are coming. The next round of collective bargaining, whenever it arrives, will be a war over guaranteed money, void years, and how the pie gets divided. The salary cap will keep rising. The projected number for 2026 was nearly double 2018's cap of $177 million, and there is no reason to expect the growth to slow down. The NFL's media deals are more lucrative than ever. International expansion continues, and the league keeps adding games to the schedule. More revenue means a higher cap. A higher cap means bigger contracts. Bigger contracts mean more holdouts and more leverage for players. The 2026 offseason also brought a wave of extensions for the 2023 draft class, with players like Puka Nacua, Bijan Robinson, and Jahmyr Gibbs all in line for market resetting extensions. Each one of those deals will push the ceiling higher. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the Super Bowl champion wide receiver, could reset the receiver market after leading the NFL with 1,793 receiving yards. The Baltimore Ravens need to restructure Lamar Jackson's contract, which carries an astronomical $74.5 million cap hit in 2026. The verdict on all of this: the owners didn't drop a single bombshell. They dropped several. They paid record contracts, while simultaneously sounding the alarm that the system needs to change. They cut established veterans to fund superstar salaries. They restructured deals and loaded up on dead money to stay competitive in the short term, mortgaging their futures in the process. And they signaled loudly that the next CBA will be the battleground, where they try to claw back the leverage players have seized. Will Anderson's $150 million extension isn't just a contract, it's a statement. It says that in the NFL of 2026, the players have won this round of the fight. The money is there. It keeps growing, and the elite talent will continue to extract every dollar they can. The owners will keep paying and keep scheming. Because in the NFL, the only thing bigger than the contracts is the fight over who controls the money that funds them. The salary revolt isn't over. It's just getting started.